So I've gotten several requests to go over my character creation rules. I thought now would be a good time to just knock this out for a video. I can go over it, and at the same time, I can send people that I'm running this video of my character creation rules. I can just hand them over and be like, look, this video, I go over everything. So here's how to draw up a character for my game. Boom. And just pass them the video. Also for anyone interested, because I've had quite a few people ask how I do character creation rules. So first off, start at level 1. It's pretty easy. My games will generally be you level up every session, generally speaking, because 20 game sessions is, how many months is that? 4 each. So it's like 4 or 5 months. Yeah, 4 or 5 months. So if you start at level 1 and you have a 4-month campaign, you can get to level 20 with that. I acknowledge that that's fast. I acknowledge that that's a very fast way. Leveling up every session is quick, but 4 months is also a good bit of time. So from the games that I've played in, levels can go like 3 sessions or longer. I was in a game as a bard, chat. I was in a game as a bard, and we were level 2 for a month. Level 2. Every session, I was like, am I going to get that subclass next? Is this it? Do I finally get my Nope. No subclass. It was excruciating. So I like a little bit of a faster pace. Another reason that I like a faster paced game is because you can finish the campaign and start up another one. I hear a lot of people talking about really long, year-long campaigns where they play the same character and they get to level 20 or 2 years or whatever. I don't know how they do it. Everyone that I've ever met and ran in a D&D game, and let me know in the comments right now, or if you're watching live, let me know in the chat. If you're watching this VOD, let me know in the comments. How many characters do you have on D&D Beyond? If it's more than 1, or if it's like 100, then how are you going to hit those if you're doing one campaign a year? So if you knock out a campaign quickly, like a campaign goes to 8 or 12 or whatever, you can try out a new character. You can cycle through roughly 60 to 70 characters. I got bad news for you. You're not going to hit all those in a lifetime unless you do a bunch of one shots. So yeah, I like faster campaigns. I like leveling up every session. Sometimes we'll do a level every other session. Sometimes if I want to stretch out the campaign for a little bit longer, we'll do a level every other session, but no more than that. No more than that. My players still love it. Hey, if that's the kind of game you're running, look, if that's the kind of game you're running, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying this is the kind of game that I run. One more thing I want to bring up is no matter what, whatever act of God, roleplay session, shopping session, you will not spend more than 1 game session at level 1 in my games. Ever. It will not happen. It doesn't matter what you accomplish. I don't care if all you did was sit in the tavern role playing and then maybe spent your starting gold on a dagger. I don't care. Level 1 is awful. I don't like it. Nobody likes level 1. Nobody likes it. You're going to get level 2 no matter what. Just get away from it. I like starting at level 1 so you can say we went 1 to X instead of like, oh, we started such and such, but we're not spending more than a game session at level 1. And generally, I'll do 1 and 3 as well, because getting your subclass is awesome. Like getting to that subclass is super important. So no more than 1 game session at level 1. No more than 1 game session at level 2. I've spent too much time on this bullet, but you see where I'm coming from. Standard array. I do standard array. I don't roll for stat. I don't want to sit there and watch you roll your stats so that you end up with some crazy, horrible, or crazy good character that's unbalanced and that you end up rolling a bunch of bad scores and you're like, oh, DM, can I re-roll this, or can I just take the standard? I just do this. This is consistent. It's easy. Moving forward. Standard ability scores 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. Average HP on level for the same reason. Starting class equipment, no rolling gold. Same reason. It's consistent. You can be consistent. I don't think I've ever, because this allows you to draw up a character for other people's games without needing to know you may need to make adjustments for their game, but for the most part, why is this duplicate? I duplicated this. I don't know why. For the most part, you can go to anyone's table with a character built like this and be okay. No evil. Listen, I don't like that I have to put this, believe me. But for some reason, when people put evil on their character sheet, they turn into idiots. They actually lose their minds. I don't know what it is about that big E on the sheet that wires something in a person's brain, but I can't. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that can handle evil, but I'm saying that I run enough people that I don't run on a regular basis, that I'm still trying to establish a relationship with, that will write evil down, and it happens all the time. It just happened to me the other day. Story time. I'm running a group. I show this group my character creation rules. One of the players says, "Oh, that sucks. I wanted to be evil." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? You can play evil. I mainly put that there for people that aren't familiar with the game or are new to D&D. You can play evil. Go for it. That's fine." I'm running Lost Mines of Phandelver. They're in town. All right. They're in Phandalin. Those of you that are familiar, Lost Mines of Phandelver, there's this little village called Phandalin. And some kids run up to the party and, just do the little kids like, "Oh, you're adventurers? That's cool. I want to kill a dragon," just being kids. And the kids have some information that the party wants. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not going to get too specific. So my party offers them a dagger. It's like, "Ooh, here's a real weapon." The little kid was using a wooden sword. They're like, "Here's a real dagger." The kid was like, "Yes, I'm going to go kill a dragon with it," and takes off. The party does their thing. When the party comes back to town, the kid's mother approaches them. The kid's mother's got the hand on the hip like, "You gave my son a dagger. What?" Just like got the dagger in hand. The kid's got like a bloody arm, hurt himself. To me, that was like a really fun opportunity, because I love the idea of players facing threats that they can't just, like, players and the party and the adventurers are so used to like charging into a dungeon with their weapons drawn and killing a dragon. The idea of coming back to town and having to face an angry mother is just like so cool to me. I love that. I love the concept. I love the idea of that. Sure enough, the one person that was complaining to me about evil, as soon as that mother approaches, they're like, "I'm going to Eldritch Blast her." They turn into idiots, chat. I'm not even joking with you. Not even joking with you. I'm sitting here trying to have a moment, and this guy's like, "I'm an Eldritch Blaster." You're just going to kill the commoner? Yeah. She dies. Did you want to combat? Like, she's got 2 hit points. What do you, this little halfling woman, you're just going to shoot her? Like, yeah, my Eldritch Blaster. Okay. And I right then and there, I announced to the entire table. I was like, "Listen, this is why I don't allow evil. In case anybody was wondering, in case there was any question, this is why I don't allow evil." And I said it right to his face. I said, because people turn into idiots. People actually get stupid when they have an E on their character sheet. Moving on. Current Unearthed Arcana is allowed. I love playtesting the Unearthed Arcana. I love seeing what's new. And how often as a player do you get to use this new playtest material? How often do you get to like experience the Unearthed Arcana before it comes out? I feel like it's not very often. I feel like not a lot of DMs allow the Unearthed Arcana because, for one, they're probably not familiar with it. And for two, they probably think it's unbalanced because they haven't gotten to, they haven't balanced it out yet, which is kind of the point. And I'm okay with that. I'm willing to make changes in the middle of the game. So I allow the current Unearthed Arcana. The Revised Ranger is not current Unearthed Arcana. I'm sorry. The Revised Rangers does not exist anymore. I'm talking about at the time of recording, I'm talking about the multiverse, the new Path of the Giant, I believe is current. Stuff like that. I have completely overhauled crafting in my games. Completely overhauled. There are 2 books that I use from the DM's Guild. You don't really need to worry about that. If you're actually running in my game, I'll probably give you access to the books so that you can read through them. But these are I want tools to matter in my game. So these are the tools that I use. All of these will have a significant impact. You can do some pretty cool stuff with this. You can make bombs. I'm still working on, at the time of recording, I'm still working on chefs. All of these, I have homebrew rules specifically for each of these, and I go over some of them. I have a video on crafting. Thieves' Tools is a little different. Thieves' Tools is not a crafting. It's a whole nother beast, but it's still good. It's still good in its own right. Picking locks. Harvester's Kit allows you to harvest from dead creatures. You can harvest beholder eyes or dragon scales, etc. And when you harvest these, you can use these professions to craft with your harvested parts. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I did a video on this. You can go look at that. And finally, my home skinning tool. Yeah, I like skinning tools. So my harvester kit, I do allow fishing and gathering plants and skinning monsters, all in the same. Do all those. All right. Okay, let me talk about my homebrew rules now. Flanking advantage. I love the idea of positioning. Believe it or not, I will tell people I use flanking, and I don't know if they just forget or if they just kind of get caught up in the moment, but sometimes they'll not do it. And I don't like, as a DM, I don't like nudging people in a direction, but I will remind them, like in the middle of comments, like, I use flanking, by the way. You could have had an advantage from that. I try not to do that too often because I don't want to control the players, but at the same time, I don't want them to miss something, because they forgot. Potions as a bonus action is pretty self-explanatory. If you want to drink a healing potion, it's a bonus action. If you want to give another player a potion, if a player is down, is unconscious, bleeding out, and you have a healing potion you want to give it to them, that's an action. Bonus action to drink, action to administer. No instant death damage. I'm just going to show you. I think I have the PHP pulled up right here. Here we go. No instant death damage. For those of you that don't know what I'm referring to here, there is a rule in the player's handbook, stalling, under damage and healing, that causes you to die immediately. Instant death. This is the rule. Massive damage can kill you instantly. When damage reduces you to 0 hit points and there is damage remaining, you die. If the remaining damage exceeds or equals, I read that backwards, your hit point maximum. For example, a cleric with a max hit points 12 currently has 6 hit points. If they take 18 from an attack, she is reduced to 0, but 12 remains. The remaining damage equals her hit point max. Cleric dies. I don't use this. This exists only to kill low-level players, honestly. This rule exists just to kill players. I've been playing D&D for over a decade, about 15 years. And I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen an NPC die to instant death. 3.5 also had instant death rules. It's a little bit similar to this. I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen an NPC die to this. Usually NPCs die right away anyway, but this rule exists to kill players. I like players' characters. I don't like killing them outright, so I don't use that rule. Screw that rule. That rule's awful. I don't like that rule. I understand why some people would use it if they like a more challenging game or they like a more brutal, like players die. I can implement challenge in different ways. Instant death damage is not one of them. I remove that. Spell scrolls can be used by anyone. I like giving spell scrolls out as loot. I like giving out spells as loot. It's really cool. I allow spell scrolls to be used by anyone. By the book, you have to have the spell on your spell list, and if it's above a spell level that you can cast, you have to roll in order to cast it. Pretty complicated. And if you fail, you lose the scroll outright. Kind of sucks. I like the idea of giving out spell scrolls as keys to solve certain puzzles. So for example, maybe I'll give out a Dispel Magic scroll. And then later on, knowing that the party has a Dispel Magic scroll in their inventory, I'll put them up against some magic that needs to be dispelled, or they'll suffer some consequences. So as a reward, they can either think, oh, we could use the Dispel Magic scroll here and get past this trap, or we can just face the consequences of the trap, which are obvious. I love the idea of that. Spell scrolls is what allows that. Proficiency for improvised weapons. I use this specifically so people will use improvised weapons more. I allow you to add your proficiency to improvised weapons. If you pick up a rock and throw it, you can add your proficiency. It's fine. I want to see more flavor stuff like this, so I allow this. For every spell, there is a spell of a different damage type. Let me find a fireball. So for every spell that exists, for example, fireball. Fireball does fire damage. There is another spell that does a different damage type. For example, there is an ice ball, there's a lightning ball, etc. So whenever you choose your spells, you can choose fireball, or you can choose ice ball or lightning ball, etc. Now, that's not to say that you can change these spells on a whim. Like if you put ice ball in your spell book, you now have ice ball. You don't have fireball. You have to go find fireball. You have to go put fireball in your spell book. You don't have that. All you have is ice ball. And the reason I do that is because I don't want fire. I don't want people to feel like fire has to be the element you choose. If you want to play an elemental mage, it feels like fire is the only way to do damage. I like the idea of an ice mage, a lightning mage, etc. So I like the idea of changing damage types. If there's a damage type that you really like, you want to do a lightning mage, you can do lightning fireball, you can do lightning shield, for example, things like that. I think that's cool. And I've had people tell me that the sorcerer transmutation is less valuable with that rule, with the rule of changing the damage type. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I believe that being able to change the damage type on the fly. There we go. So see, poison is on this list. Poison is here. Okay, yeah, Transmuted Spell. This allows you to change the damage type at the cast, which is great. This allows you to change the damage type as needed. The other one lets you change the damage type when you make the choice, when you choose the spell. So I still think this has value. I don't think it takes away. I'm open to debate on that one. I don't think it takes away from Transmute Spell. I think this spell is still valuable, but I'm open to debate that one. Downtime training reduced. So crafting and so downtime is a bit tricky. I'm going to have to really elaborate on that one. Downtime, I allow for crafting. That's mainly for your crafting. That's also used to learn new skills or languages. Now, I allow 30 days, 10 days to learn a new skill or a language. That's incredibly fast compared to by the book. The book, I think it says, I think it actually takes a year or longer. It takes a really long time to learn a new skill by the book. I like the idea of learning new skills, new languages, or new tools. 30 days, you can learn a new skill, a new language, a new tool. Generally, in my games, between sessions, between the week, there are 10 days of downtime between the session. And you can use that to work on a skill, work on a language, work on a weapon proficiency. Maybe you found a new weapon, a new magic weapon that you really want to use and you're not proficient with. You can use, it takes 3 game sessions of downtime, or 3 between sessions of downtime, 3 10 days. Again, I allow 1 10 day between sessions. And then you learn a new skill, new language. This is not that powerful, especially when you're gaining a level every session. It takes 3 levels to get a new skill or language. This is mostly a pacing thing. This is really dependent. I don't know if I would recommend this for other DMs. This is just from my experience. If you level up every session, if you run a fast-paced game, again, 4 or 5 months. If you're going to level 20, it's 4 months or 5 months. 3 game sessions to learn a skill or a language or a weapon proficiency really isn't that strong. Crafting, I'm going to change this to better fit this, but for the most part, you can accomplish 10 gold pieces worth of work. Detect magic as a cantrip. That one's pretty obvious. Detect magic is normally a ritual that you can cast. I like the idea. So one thing that I won't allow is, okay, DM, I'm going to use detect magic. Let me know when we find something magical. No. I like the idea of you telling me you're going to use detect magic, you taking the time to use a skill. I'm not going to let you automate anything. I'm not going to all right, DM, I'm going to have detect magic up. Just let me know. No, you're not going to put that off on me. You're going to tell me when you use detect magic, or you're going to ask this specifically for magical. I'm going to tell you. You're not just going to have infinite detect magic going at all times automated. But, I mean, you could. It's a cantrip. But you got to tell me. I would like the idea of, okay, we're going in this room. I'm going to scan for magic. Fine with that. That's cool. While we search the room, maybe the rogue searches the room and the mage is like, do a magic scan. Oh, I'm okay with that. I like that. What I don't like is, all right, we're entering the dungeon. Detect magic is on for the rest of the dungeon. I'm just going to keep recasting it. Stop it. Sounds a lot like Eldritch Sight. Wouldn't that make it obsolete? Maybe. Doesn't Eldritch Sight just teach you detect magic, though? Let's discuss that. Does making detect magic a cantrip make Eldritch Sight less valuable? I'm going to be honest, even if it does, I don't care. I'm just going to say, okay, you probably shouldn't take Eldritch Sight. Oh, okay, yeah. Detect magic at will. So you already have detect magic at will. In that case, yes, Eldritch Sight is not as good. I would probably improve on Eldritch Sight then. Maybe... What would I do with this? I don't even know. Would Eldritch Sight really be that much weaker if it said you learn the detect magic cantrip? Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation. So that's a conversation that I would have specifically with my warlocks. They could honestly just not need to take this. They basically get this for free. Well, I mean, they have to have the detect magic cantrip. You know what? Honestly, I would probably just give them detect magic cantrip. I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. If you feel like if Eldritch Sight is really like something that you want to do, there you go. You can have it. Like, to be honest, I don't. I was thinking if detect magic is a cantrip, it should last for 1 minute instead of 10. Maybe then Eldritch Sight gives it 10 minutes. I still don't think Eldritch Sight would be worth it. I don't know. That's a discussion that I'm willing to have with warlocks who want to take Eldritch Sight. But I can't think of a single warlock that would rather take an invocation to learn a cantrip than to just take the cantrip. How many cantrips do warlocks get? 4? No, it can't be that much. 2 or 3? How many cantrips do warlocks get? Anybody looking at the warlock right now? It's not 4, is it? That seems like a lot. It's got to be like 3. 2. So that's tough. They get a 3rd cantrip at 4th. Honestly, I would just give them detect magic. I just give it to them. Like, here you go. Here you go, sorry. Or maybe give them another cantrip. If they take Eldritch Sight, give them another cantrip. All right, next. Improved weak weapons, like Trident. I don't have this fleshed out. This was newly added, this last campaign I just started. I have a player that's playing a Sea Elf Paladin. No, not a Sea Elf. Water Genasi Paladin. And Trident is really thematic for Water Genasi, Sea Elves, Tritons, etc. But Trident is also incredibly weak. So I just make it stronger. Jordan, but the PH is silent, has it to where a Trident does 2d4, 3d4 if you use it two-handed. If you use it versatile. Simple as that. Super easy. 2d4. Tridents do 2d4. The etc. is just there in case I want to improve any other weapons. I mainly added this specifically for the Trident. What are your rules on extremely exotic / rarely used language? Some examples I can think of would be Leonin are an example. I just cut them out. Minotaur is a good example. I love playing Minotaurs, but Minotaur is a near useless language because most Minotaurs are just like monsters. It really depends. A lot of the time, I will shift certain NPCs based off of what languages a player chooses. So if I see a player choose Minotaur or choose Leonin in your example, I will incorporate more Leonin NPCs and more Minotaur NPCs. I will look at what languages players take, and I will try to incorporate more NPCs. Because a lot of time you introduce a new NPC, the race is up in the air. It could be any race, right? Whenever the players go to a shopkeeper or a tavern or a flower shop or anything, a lot of the times you're going to pull a random NPC. When you have to pull a random NPC from your pool of random NPCs. What I like to do, well, what I would like to do more, I actually don't do this as much as I would like to. I would like to get into a habit of it, is looking at the player's list of languages that they have and then just pulling from that. That way they actually feel like they chose the language, like the language is useful. All right, my last homebrew rule is Primordial Dialect. So there are 4 primordial languages. Auran, Aquan, oh boy, I done messed up. Auran is air, Aquan, Ignan is fire. I can't remember earth. What's the earth primordial language? Anyway, there's one for each element. I rule that primordial is one language and that everything else is a dialect. So if you speak Aquan, you can understand Auran, Ignan, whatever the earth one is, I forgot. If you speak Aquan, you have all of them. Primordial is one language with 4 dialects, and the dialects are the elementals. Hope I explained that well enough. Primordial is a dialect of the 4. So if you have Auran, you have Primordial, you can understand all of them. This is one language. The language of the elementals is one language. That's the only language one that I've got. Anyway, that is my homebrew rules. These are the rules I use for character creation. They change all the time. This is just the most current, but I will let you know if you're watching this video and you plan on playing in one of my games, I will let you know. I will adjust this document over time and I'll happily explain what I've changed.